Welcome back to the Travel Mug Podcast. Megan, how are you? We got trip countdowns. Are you excited?
I know. I'm very excited. It was a month yesterday before we go. So very exciting. I've been collecting items to take. When you go to Cuba too, you can take some stuff for the people that live there. So I'm going to go and get that stuff. So we're just sort of like planning, counting down, very excited for relaxation. Although I must say, you are also planning a trip to Florida. So what do you guys intend to do this time around? Because I know you're not staying on the Disney resort, is that right?
We are staying on Disney, but only for part of the trip.
Oh,
So
okay.
we're flying down, we're flying into Tampa this time, which we've never done before. And then we are spending a few days with our friends, and then we're checking into a Disney hotel, Pop Century, for the last 3 nights. So we'll have 3 full days at Disney. I just booked a after hours ticket, which is something that I've never done before. So it's a nighttime event, less crowds, that sort of thing. So I'll give everybody the full report on that when I come back on whether or not it was worth it. I hope it definitely was.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, because they're not super cheap, but I watched a whole YouTube video about them. So anyway, here we are. So speaking of costs, I mean, queen of segues here, aren't we?
Heck yeah.
We are going to chat about hidden fees while traveling today. So we've done some travel tip Tuesdays on this, such as using like ATMs abroad. We've also done traveling on a budget type episodes before, so you can scroll back and find those as well. But this week, we're going to focus in mostly on airline and accommodation hidden fees, especially the Airbnb and Vrbo situation, because it's a situation.
Yes, it is indeed. It is indeed.
Megan, why don't you start us off with some airline hidden fees?
Because we all love it. Life just feels like a big hidden fee right now, just in general, I have to say. But I guess if we're going to talk about travel specific, so with airlines, so let's talk about baggage. The days of most airlines allowing one checked bag for free are almost all gone. Not all, but a lot of them. And honestly, I find it really sad. Like, obviously, we know that the pandemic has hit the travel industry, very hard, and they need to make money where they can. And we are literally, though, paying for it.
Yeah.
The cost per check bag for most airlines, if it's not included, is going to cost you about $50 per bag. I know for us, we booked Sunwing, fingers crossed, to go to Cuba, and it kept advertising first check bag free.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, does that mean mine would be free, let's say, and then Peter's first bag wouldn't be? And he's like, it has to be per booking. Anyway, again, confusing. So I actually got in touch with our travel agent, and she's like, it's actually each of you first checked bag. So I was like, excellent, good to know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, sometimes it also depends. Like, obviously, we're in a bit of a different situation with a package booking.
Mm-hmm.
But on airlines, if you book a certain fare, that fare class may include your baggage and it may not include your baggage. Now, you're still paying one way or another, don't get me wrong. It's just whether it's broken out or not. So, as an example, with Condor this past summer, although we booked it like 3 years ago, we did, as we all know, we chose the fare that included baggage. And then for Iceland Air, when we went to Iceland in 2018, we didn't. And then we paid at the airport. So if you book through a travel advisor, again, they can sort of help you go through that. If you're doing it on your own, you're going to have to kind of like look at that kind of stuff, figure it out on your own. So have you ever paid for baggage at the airport expectedly or even unexpectedly?
Yeah, so I've done it expectedly and unexpectedly, but the one thing I will note is that when we were in Florida, we paid at the Halifax airport on the way down for our bag on the way down. And then we paid at the airport in Orlando on the way home. And in the airport in Orlando, of course, they charge you in US dollars. So it makes it even more expensive.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind too. And when you're looking at whether or not going up a fare class is worth it, usually going up a fare class means including your seat selection and your bag. So you have to do math, which Nobody's favorite subject. Well, somebody out there loves math, but it's not
They
me.
have to. Someone's gonna love it. It just isn't us.
I mean, you have to do the math to see if it's worth going up a fare class or just paying kind of more a la carte.
Yeah, definitely. Now, in my opinion, you're probably better off paying in advance. And this is kind of in case fees go up. Let's say you book a trip 6 months in advance, you don't know what's going to happen in between. And you don't have to worry about it later. I like getting stuff taken care of personally, paying up front, being done with it. And airports aren't fun as it is. So why get there and have to pay for luggage? It's just a bit of a bummer to start as well as end your trip. Because of course, like you just mentioned, you do pay both ways. So just something to think about. And if the budget's not a problem, just buy the right fare and you won't have to worry about it anyway because it's included. So it's really, whatever your comfort zone is or your budget is.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, let's talk seat selection fees, which you mentioned as well. And this is, I really find, a personal preference for a variety of reasons. So we've never paid for seat selection before, and we kind of take our chances by checking in 24 hours in advance. Jen, have you guys ever paid or you individually paid for seat selection before?
So, pre-October 2022, I don't think I had ever paid for seat selection in advance. When I went to Florida in October with my friend, we paid for our seats so we could be near the front of the plane because, as you all know, we had to run.
Right.
That was how I was like, okay, let's make this work. And we actually just paid for our seats for Florida coming up in 3-ish weeks. So I don't know. I guess now I'm kind of on team pay for your seat in a weird way, even though it does cost more. I like knowing where I'm going to be seated. And yeah, I guess that's kind of where I'm at right now. I don't know.
Yeah. But see, that's how personal it is. I
Yeah.
mean, you've never done it before. Now you know. For me, I've never cared yet. There may come a time where I do care about it, but I'm not there yet. And we've actually had to sit separately a couple of times and honestly wasn't the end of the world. We just spent 2 weeks together. We're like, we'll see you at the end of the flight. But yeah, like it hasn't come up yet. But like everyone's different and different things matter. So you can certainly pay at the time of booking to have specific reserved seats. I have heard a story, and I don't know if it was you who mentioned it previously or where I've heard it, but there was someone who actually was bumped from a flight. And this was, I think, a story you might have told.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one person had paid in advance, did not get bumped. One person hadn't paid in advance, and they were bumped. It's a wild west out there.
Yeah, that's what happened to us, or what happened to someone seated next to me on the plane headed from Montreal to Orlando. She was sitting there and texting, and her travel companion didn't make it on the flight because they had not paid for their seat in advance and the flight was oversold. So I think now, end of 2022 into 2023, we're kind of in a little bit of a new era for this sort of stuff. And for me personally, I'll probably be paying for my seat or selecting a fare that includes the seat.
They've got their clutches in you.
They have. I'm scared. That's the problem.
They're going to live off your fear. They're taking your cash. And who knows, like if it bites me in the butt someday, like I'll of course always do it. Like my time will come, I'm sure. One other thing I wanted to mention in this before we move on is an interesting thing can also happen. So on our return flight, when we were sitting in the airport in Frankfurt, they'd actually undersold first. It was either first or business class. Right. So they actually called out making an offer up discounted seats for people while you were waiting, that if you wanted to, on a whim, be like, yeah, I think I deserve the luxury to fly home, you could maybe get a deal for a seat for a lesser price than you would have paid initially. So if you're in that situation and you have the money, that could happen as well. So if you're feeling spontaneous, you need some comfort. I mean, you never know what can happen at the airport in that regard. So that, keep your eye open for that as well. If that's something that you could be interested in, you never know.
For sure.
Now, budget airlines, are they worth it? So what is your sort of opinion there?
Yeah, so I haven't really flown a budget airline, I guess, unless you include Porter. Canada doesn't have as many budget airlines as the US, right? kind of wish we did, but on the other hand, you hear so many like horror stories, but I feel like budget airlines could almost be like a whole other episode on their own. But I was looking into them, and you do have to be really careful because they will charge you literally for everything.
Oh,
So
yes.
they'll charge you for a carry-on, they'll charge you for a checked bag, they'll charge you for your seat, like selecting your seat in advance, they'll charge you for checking in at the airport with an agent.
Wowzers.
Yes, like some of them, not all of them, but I was like a $25 fee to check in at a desk with an agent.
That's so
Like,
rude.
right. And I get that they're a budget airline, because
Yeah.
I see these advertisements, right? Like fly to from Halifax to, I don't know, Ottawa for like $10 or something ridiculous. And I mean,
Mm.
technically you can, I guess, if you just walk on with you and your purse, but
Yeah. Or your wallet.
anything else, you're
Yeah.
charged for it. So, I mean, maybe they're worth it, maybe they're not.
It's really depending on what you need to do and how long you're going for, if you can take just the carry-on, whatever the case might be. I can't recall flying. I know right before Peter and I met, he had taken a budget airline to Toronto, had no troubles, but they also don't seem to last as long. And
Mhm.
you never know when the end is coming. And so if you have a trip booked and you're just like, they're like, whatever airline is going under, and you're like, what about my trip to Toronto?
Yeah.
So that's a concern as well. So I mean, I think you're right, we could probably talk about that a little bit longer. So who knows, peeps, stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll see.
Now, yeah, for sure. So the kind of inspiration for this episode is Airbnb. So Jen, I'm going to sort of hand it over to you. Tell us a little bit more about sort of, why this come up, and how does it work with these kind of stays?
Yeah. So, I mean, when we talk about hidden fees, we have to talk about Airbnb, right? Like those nightly prices look like a bargain. And then you click on it and you go to book, and the price shoots up. That adds service fees and cleaning fees and maybe taxes and all of these things. But I will say that Airbnb has made a change for the better in late 2022. The nightly price that you see when you first search actually includes all of those hidden fees kind of divided up into the nightly price. So they have made it a little bit better, I will
Right.
say. So let's talk about the cleaning fee that everyone hates. Everyone
Yes.
hates the cleaning fee, but the cleaning fees are set by the host, and so they can vary widely. So I saw a June 2022 NerdWallet analysis of 1,000 US Airbnb reservations with check-in dates in 2022 or 2023, found that the median cleaning fee per listing for a one-night stay was $75.
My Lord.
Like, oh my gosh. And like
I
on
know.
some listings, the cleaning fee can be higher than the nightly price. And
Yes.
it's kind of getting out of control. And I understand where it comes from a host point of view, because you either have to clean it yourself or you have to pay somebody to clean.
Yep.
So it needs to be cleaned. But it really should be kind of, in my opinion, just absorbed into the nightly price instead of a bumped out fee. Because if I don't see it, then it doesn't bother me as much.
Oh, it's true. It's definitely a mental thing. And if
Yeah.
you go to book a place and the cleaning fee is more than the night, who's booking that?
I don't know, man.
Because it just makes me angry, and I'm like, I wouldn't stay with you if you're I wouldn't stay with you if you're the last place on earth. Like,
Yeah.
it's outrageous. When I agree, like, obviously the place has to be clean, either they're doing it like you said or paying someone, and they never know what they're going to face in terms of the cleaning.
Yeah.
We're very, very clean and tidy guests, but there could be people that are disgusting, so they don't know, and I get that as well. But
Yeah.
it is especially egregious when you arrive somewhere and there's a list of things they want you to do
Yeah.
before you check out. So that includes maybe dishes, taking out the garbage, sweeping. Peter's cousin had a list that included like taking the bed sheets off,
Yeah.
like other things like that. Like, what are we paying such a high cleaning fee for if you want me to do some of it? Like, it's in my opinion, if there's a cleaning fee, I shouldn't have to do anything when I leave except ensure that the place is secure. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But if I'm paying for, what am I paying for?
Yeah, I think the list of demands can get like outrageous. Like I shouldn't have to start the laundry for you.
No.
And I think I read that Airbnb is going to have the hosts list the cleaning checkout list in the listing so that you will be able to see that in advance. So you're not getting to a place and it gives you a list a mile long of things that you have to do before you check out, which will be a really great change. But honestly, the cleaning fee and the list of demands that have been around are one of the reasons that I choose a hotel like 9 times out of 10 instead of
Yeah.
an Airbnb.
And we've actually never had anything too outrageous, but there have been a couple places like Sweep Up or whatever, and I'll do it, but let me tell you, I'm doing it begrudgingly.
Yes, and you're only doing it because the host is leaving you a review as well.
Yeah.
They kind of have you, they kind of have you.
Yeah, no, they do for sure. But not only is there a cleaning fee, what other kind of fee is there?
Yeah, so they service fees as well. So the service fees are charged by Airbnb, the company. They charge the host to use the platform. However, a lot of the hosts pass on the majority of that fee to us, the people who are staying there. So
Yep.
it could be another 14% on top of the nightly rate and the cleaning rate, which now we're adding up here. Like
We are.
and speaking of adding up, then taxes. If they have to charge taxes or VAT, depending on the situation and where they live. I mean, there's no real way around it. That is what it is. The government's got to get there. Got to
Gotta
get
get
slice
paid.
the pie. But Nova Scotia here, the tax rate is 15%. In other countries, 20 to 25%. And that, like, this is just like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching added up with all of those fees.
Yeah. And regardless of where that money is going, like whether I'm certainly not crapping on hosts or anything like that.
No, no.
It's just when you add it all up after a while, it becomes a lot. And one thing we've noticed as well, because we have booked a lot of Airbnbs, is early in the pandemic, the prices were low. Like, of course, the business wasn't there. So they were trying to attract people. So we had some great rates. We were actually just looking not long ago in the summer of 2020, we did it up. Now, ever since then, though, because people are looking to escape, especially with mask mandates, et cetera, no one wanted to go to hotels.
Yeah.
No one wanted to have to do that. So Airbnbs were where it's at. And the prices just inflated so much and they've not gone back. So now when we look at Airbnbs, honestly, just in general, the price is just too rich. And I'm just like, we'll just stay home and order in or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's not worth it. I already pay for my apartment. So I don't know. But let's talk about hotels. So, there's stuff to look out there for, not everywhere, but some places, things you need to keep in mind, and some things that could be a surprise.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something that, might cross people's mind. I actually mentioned this to Peter. He's like, I don't even know what that is. And a lot of people I don't think do, because it's not everywhere, but that's resort fees. Now, first place that comes to mind for this is Las Vegas. But not only are you paying a lot to usually stay and eat and have fun, but there are additional fees not included in your initial booking price. So for Vegas in particular, in 2023, we found a comprehensive list, and the lowest was $16.99 US per day, up to about $45.95 US per day. And that was just as an example for Planet Hollywood.
Right.
And that's a day. So they say that these fees include things, which seems silly now, but as an example, printing boarding passes. Who's doing that? The fitness center. Okay, maybe. Free self-parking. So thanks for letting me park my own vehicle for free.
And then charging me for it.
And then charging me.
That way.
I'm so grateful. And then in-room Wi-Fi. Why aren't you? It's 2023. You should just be including Wi-Fi as part of like the fact that it's a hotel. Mm-hmm. So there are a few spots that don't charge in the list that I found, but they're also not popular places. So you're really going to have to do your research, because you could end up paying like hundreds of extra dollars that you did not plan for. So you're going to have to check it when you're booking, whether it's included, what you can expect to pay that isn't there. And some of the other spots, just, in a brief search I did, was Niagara Falls as an example, Nassau, Bahamas, and many more. So if you don't have the budget for extra, like hundreds potentially of dollars, you really have to watch out for this. It is a big deal. And of course, regular run-of-the-mill hotels probably aren't going to have it. But if you don't know which ones and you don't know where, so it's something you need to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I think I remember that when we went to Vegas, because I mean, who would have thought that's like, okay, well, I've paid for my nightly fee, and then you're checking out and it's like, oh, and also please pay
Right.
more money. Like, oh, okay.
Thanks for the extra money. I spent that in the slot machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
If only you had told me. So something else with hotels we wanted to mention was hotel parking fees. Now, this will vary from place to place, but you can be sure that in downtown, like city core hotels, you should plan to pay for parking. And it can be pretty substantial, such as like 20 to 30 US dollars, let's say in the US per night, or in the equivalent in euros, which would cost especially Canadians even more. If parking isn't offered, what we've sort of found with places that are small without their own parking lot is often there's a nearby garage alternative that the hotel will send you to. And those can actually sometimes be cheaper if it was probably included in the hotel. It's not always a bad thing. Sometimes a little bit of an inconvenience because it's not right on site, but it can be cheaper. If you do use booking.com or hotels.ca, let's say as an example, it will often indicate if parking is included or available on site. You could also email or call the hotel to find out the rate. Often in more rural areas too, and I don't know if you found this, like with inns or bed and breakfasts, parking's often like free and provided right on site, but again, it's going to depend. So if you're not thinking of parking and you have a vehicle with you, again, if you're staying 4 nights and it's 30 US a night, like that's 120 extra US dollars you could be spending. So it really is something to keep in mind that could be a surprise if you're just not thinking that way.
Yeah, it can be wild. And I definitely have to pay more attention to it in cities versus, smaller towns. You're really probably not going to run into that. But actually, today, just before I hopped on to record with you, Disney announced that they are no longer charging to park at a Disney World hotel if you're staying at that hotel, which, like, thank God, because
Why were you charging anyway? But yes.
They were charging per night to park at the hotel, but you got free parking at the theme parks. Now it is free in both places for
Nice.
self-parking. So that is great. I think it's probably been, I'm going to say 6 or 7 years that they've been charging for
That new old CEO that's back in town. Maybe he's
yeah.
making these changes.
Listen, if you were a Disney person, there has been so many announcements today. It has just been rolling and rolling.
Oh, really?
I'm glad we don't have a Disney podcast right now. My pals over at Rope Drop Radio, they're a great Disney podcast. If you're looking for one, I'll link them in the show notes, but they're gonna have a lot of work on their hands because like there was like probably 8 announcements today, and it's just a lot.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, we don't have to worry about that today.
No, but you know what we do have to worry about? Countries that you have to pay to enter or exit.
That just also seems rude, but do tell us more.
It is rude. So some countries literally charge you to enter and or exit. If you're flying in, usually this is just included in your airline price and you never see it and you don't have to worry about it. But there are some places, Costa Rica, you have to pay at the airport. It's 46 US dollars. Like, that's a lot of money. And then some countries may have fees at land borders if you are driving, or a necessary visa that you have to pay for, and all of those things. So, and
well, yeah, like when we, as an example, had to put that stickers in our window. So it wasn't necessarily like paying at the border, but to enter, we had to have the vignette. So that's the same difference. I mean, it's still paying to drive on their roadways.
Yeah. And do you remember how much that was?
It was really cheap for Austria. It depended on the stay. Ours was 10 euros for Austria. But of course, with Switzerland, where everything cost quadruple, it was like probably, I think it was like 40 or 45 Swiss francs or euros, which was still equal to about like 55 Canadian, 60 Canadian. That's still a lot of money.
Still a lot just to be
Yeah.
able to have the privilege to drive. And then I also saw in late 2023 that you may have to pay to enter European Union countries with the European Travel Information and Authorization System. And it'll be a €7 fee, which is, it's €7, but like that's your coffee and a croissant. Like,
yeah, I think they were going to do it sooner, and there was a bit of a uproar about it, so they delayed it till later this year because I think it was supposed to start in January.
Okay, yeah. So we'll have to check back in on this one in late 2023 and see what's happening.
Exactly. We'll have to check back with that for sure. And even although it's not now, up until like 2015, 2016, you had to pay 25, I'm going to say US dollars, but it could have been Cuban pesos. So don't quote me on that, per person when departing from Cuba at the airport. So you couldn't spend all your money because they only took cash.
Oh my God.
No credit card.
Whoa.
So what we did is we would set it aside like as soon as we checked in our safe and be like, we cannot touch this
Don't
money.
touch this.
But now it is included whenever you book return airfare or a resort package.
Gotcha.
Like, and really that's how it should be, because it's not like it's a huge deal, but it is something that I'm sure snagged a lot of people when they like they've suddenly remembered.
Yeah, especially if it's only cash.
Yes.
Like,
exactly. That was the thing, because of
yeah.
course I'll have my visa with me, but if you're expecting me to have cash, I spent that at the resort on tips.
God.
Woo.
Yes. And even right here in our little corner of the world, once you want to leave Prince Edward Island, not enter, but once you want to leave, you got to pay to get off the bridge.
You do.
So it's $50.25, which like it's getting outrageous. I know we had to pay for the bridge, but that bridge has been there a long time.
I know. Like, when is like could the premier get in touch with us maybe and like let us know when his bridge is going to be paid for? It just seems like a lot for a long time.
I want to see the little debt repayment tracker bridge. Like, we must have paid it off. I know there's maintenance costs, but like $50.25 is getting out of control.
It's true. And like once you're on PEI, they have you, so you can't leave without paying it. So I guess you could take the ferry, but you're also paying for that.
Pay to
So
get off there. Yeah,
you're paying to get off one way or another.
Swim.
We do not recommend.
No, we don't.
0 out of 10 recommends swimming. Well, that is it for this episode. And really, the moral of this episode is awareness, because you have to be aware when you're booking what you're paying for now, what you could be paying for later. Read the fine print and don't be surprised by fees on arrival. That can just really put a damper on things. Even if you choose to or have to pay them, it's always better to be aware of extra costs. Like, you're going to pay it anyway, but you don't want it to be a surprise of like we mentioned earlier, hundreds of dollars you weren't planning to spend.
Yeah.
Now for us, we're for free here at the Travel Mug Podcast.
Yeah.
But if you enjoyed the show, we would love to hear from you in the form of a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We haven't had a review like that in a while. So like make our new year happy 2023. And like show us some love. It definitely helps the show. Of course, we'd love to interact with you on social media as well, Instagram and Facebook at Travel Mug Podcast, and visit our beautiful website at travelmugpodcast.com. You can buy us some coffee with the link in the show notes. It helps keep us pumping out great content, or share the show with a travel loving pal, because we love to meet new peeps.
Yeah.
And until next time, thanks for your support, and we'll see you later.
Bye. Bye.